Awesome. All right. So welcome everyone to our guided workshop. My name is Aparna Chandrasekhar, and I am the founder of the Smiles for All initiative. We are a youth-led branch led in association with Chetana Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping the community via hunger relief, education, environment, and empowerment. So myself and my two partners, Ms. Adrija Rukmini and Ms. Tarika Dureraj, we're all very, very happy to have you all here today. The purpose of today's workshop will be to provide each of you with a more in-depth perspective into public speaking and to provide you with specialized techniques to improve your public speaking skills. We hope you enjoyed this event, and without further ado, let's go over today's agenda. So today, we will be starting off with our first speaker, Ms. Bella Nissen, and her presentation on turning fear into fantastic speaking. From there, we will proceed to our next speaker, Mr. Vinil Pala, and his presentation on attention-grabbing introductions. Following him will be Mr. Rex Arul and his presentation, Your Being Speaks. After this, we will have a speech evaluation demo activity, which will be conducted by myself, Tarika, and Adrija, where we will each give a speech on a topic of our choice. Our Toastmasters here today, Mr. Omar Sheikh, Mr. Vinil Pala, and Mr. Rex Arul, will then give us feedback based on our speeches. This activity will also have room for you guys to participate, as we will be calling on a few of you guys to give us feedback on our own speeches and hear your thoughts. After this, we will play a few videos on Chetana Foundation and prosthetic limbs, as all funds from this workshop event are going to go for the purchase of prosthetic limbs for individuals in India. The last 10 minutes of our session are going to be a question and answer time, so that we really do request that if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please hold them till the end of the session. Now, without further ado, let's introduce our first speaker of the day, Ms. Bella Nissen. Bella is originally from New York City, and she now lives in Portland, Oregon. All right, give me one moment. All right, so she is the president of Lake Oswego Toastmasters, and just last week, she won an area-wide speech contest. She's known for her warm approach to coaching and mentoring people. She loves helping people work on improving their public speaking skills, whether it's compassionately helping those who have a fear of public speaking, or whether it's coaching already skilled speakers to become even better. So today, Ms. Bella is going to be sharing with us how to turn fear into public speaking. Ms. Bella, take it away. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Aparna. I sure appreciate you introducing me. Well, good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're at today. As Aparna said, my name is Bella Nissen, and I'm happy to be here today talking with you. There was a saying that was really common when I was growing up. It was, never let them see you sweat. And what that meant was that if you were afraid, you should never let anybody see that. And I took that message to heart. So when I was scared of things, I just bottled it up inside and I never said a word. But the problem with keeping your fear inside is that it doesn't make your fear go away. Instead, it can often make it bigger. One of the things that I was scared of was public speaking. And it wasn't until I was 30 years old that I learned how to deal with that fear. Now, would you all agree, is 30 pretty old from your perspective? Is that pretty old? Right? Because you're like, oh my goodness, that is old, lady. Well, the good news is you don't have to wait till you're old like I was to learn how to deal with the fear of public speaking, because I have some neat tips and tricks I learned, and I'm going to share those with you today. The first thing I want to tell you is it is okay to be afraid. And I want you to say that with me. Aparna, will you go ahead and ask everyone to unmute right now? You're going to get a message from Aparna. Go ahead and unmute yourselves. You didn't think you were going to get to sit back and just watch some people speak, did you? No, it's time for you to talk. Go ahead and unmute yourselves. I see some people have, other people are still doing it. We'll take a moment here, let everybody, okay, very good. All right, on the count of 3, we're going to say together, we're going to say, it is okay to be afraid. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. It is
okay to be afraid.
Okay, you didn't bust out my eardrums, so we're going to try that again because I want to make sure that you get that message. Ready? 1, 2, 3. It is
okay
well done. Aparna, will you go ahead and mute everyone again now? Okay, now the reason that I told you that, the reason is that it's okay to be afraid is because fear is simply a message. It is our brain giving us a message about something. Let me give you an example. Let's say you were walking down the street one day and you see a car that zooms through a red light and it's coming towards you. You would automatically jump out of the way, right? Because your brain told your body, get out of the way. And so we realize that fear can be a good thing because it can tell us to do something. Now, what about when we feel a fear of public speaking? What kind of message is it giving us this time? Well, you see, our mind is giving us a message that this speaking thing is important and it wants us to do something about it. And one of the reasons your mind might be telling you it's important is because it wants you to give a good performance. And you're going to learn some skills today through our speakers, Vanille and Rex, that'll show you how to put together a good speech performance. And when you do that, your fear of public speaking will decrease and your skills of public speaking will increase. All right. Now let's talk about those tips that I mentioned earlier that I have for you, some secrets on how to deal with public speaking. Well, the other day, I walked into a room in my house. In fact, it was this very room. And you know what I saw on the wall? A big, scary spider. And I happen to be a little scared of spiders. So I have a question for you. Is anybody here also scared of either spiders or bugs or some type of animal? Anybody a little bit, feel okay with admitting that? Okay, I want to find out which of those a couple people are. So if you're okay with me calling on you, go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, I see V hand, grade 5 V hand. Go ahead and unmute yourself and tell me, what is it that scares you?
Well, I'm really scared of crickets because I don't like how they hop around. I always think they're just gonna hop in my feet and just crawl up my legs.
Those are pretty creepy, aren't they? Oh, that's a good one. Okay, can I have somebody else? I might say your name wrong. Krishita Amsarikshashan, grade 5 with the headband. Yes, you.
So it's Krishita Amsakrishnan, and I'm really scared of cicada, especially that cicada invasion that happened. I'm really scared of them, and I'm also really scared of snakes because they really creep me out.
Ooh, those are good ones. Thank you so much. And thank you for telling me how to pronounce your name. And I saw someone else, Arjun, you were really excited. So Arjun, go ahead and tell me what you're scared of. Grade 4, Arjun, maybe I'm saying it wrong?
Pardon, Ralph?
Yes.
Oh, I'm scared of snakes and spiders because they're really creepy, and once I see them, I'm like, ah! And I have one living in my house, a spider.
Oh, scary, scary. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. Okay, now I'm going to ask everyone to do something. I want you to think about one of those things that scares you, whether it's a spider or a cricket or a snake, or maybe all three. And I want you to pretend for a moment that there's a really big one and it's in the room coming toward you, like a huge one as big as a person, and it's coming towards you. And I want you to show me with your body language how you would react. For example, if I saw a huge spider coming toward me, this is how I would react. Okay, so on the count of 3, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. I want you to act like how you would show if you were scared and then freeze in that position. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Scary thing coming towards you. Well, this is interesting. I saw all sorts of reactions. Some people were trying to scare the bug. Some people were in shock. But I'll tell you something that's really common when we're scared. When we're scared, our body tends to clench up. Okay, you can stop killing the bugs now. I promise you, they are not actually in the room. They have left the room. There's just us now. What happens when we're scared is our body clenches up. And when our body clenches up right before we speak, what can happen is we sound something like this. And in fact, that's happened to me. Has that ever happened to you where you're a little bit scared and you sound kind of funny when you talk because you can't quite get the words out? Well, I'm going to show you how to deal with that right now. Aparna, will you go ahead and spotlight Tharika and myself together? And we're going to show you a breathing exercise right now. So what I want you to do, Tharika is going to demonstrate for us. The first thing I want you to do is take a hand and put it on your belly. And breathe in as big as you can. Make your belly go all the way out. Yes, very good. You did very good. And then whoo, send it out. Try that again. Breathe in and then breathe it out. And now we're going to do it together on a specific count. We're going to do it nice and slow. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to breathe in through our nose. We're going to hold that breath, keep your belly way out with the air, and then we're going to let it out through our mouth. And here's how the count is going to go. And Tharika is going to demonstrate this. She's going to breathe in through her nose for the count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your belly's full of air. Hold it for 2, and then breathe out through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's try it all together. Ready, set, go. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it for 2. Breathe out through your mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Very good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do this 3 times in a row. Ready, set, go. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 2. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 2. Breathe out your mouth, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Last time, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 2. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good job. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Very good. Let us thank our breathing model today, Tharika. Thank you very much. Round of applause for Tharika. And the reason that you do that is if you do that right before you speak, that will open up any tension that you have. It'll open it up, and then you'll be able to sound really strong. And the other tip I have for you about breathing is right before you speak, what you can do is take a breath in and speak on your out breath. And I'll show you what that looks like. And you can try it. Don't unmute yourself. Stay on mute, but you can do it in your own room. What you do is I breathe in, and then I speak like this, which sounds really strong. So go ahead and try that now. Breathe in, and when you say something like, "Good morning, my name is so-and-so." Go ahead and try it. Very good. I see people doing it. Awesome. So those are a couple tips that you can use in terms of breathing. Now, the other practical tip before you speak is that you need to warm up your voice. How many of you are on a computer or a device a lot of the day? Right? Me too. We're either reading or we're studying or we're playing games, and we're not talking to anybody. So what happens is when we speak, we're not warmed up. And you know, when you play a sport, you need to warm up. So for example, today, before I spoke to you, I went into my garage and I walked around singing to a song. You can warm your voice up any way you want. You can get some music out and sing. You can talk to a family member. Do something to warm up your voice before you do your speech recording so that your voice is ready to go. Now, the final thing I want to share with you about fear is energy. And you can use that energy to put into your speech. One of our speakers later on is going to show you how to take that fear and convert it into body movement to make your speeches really pop. Now, there's 3 things I want you to take away from what I shared with you today. 1 is it's okay to be afraid. 2, fear is a message. 3, use that message to do something about it. And there's 3 things that I gave you today that you can use. One is that breathing exercise. See if it works for you. If it works for you, use it. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. Second, you can warm your voice up before speaking. Do it any way you want, whether it's singing, talking, anything that warms your voice up. And three, convert that fear into body movements in your speech. And when you use the tips that you got from this workshop today, you will turn a fear of public speaking into becoming a fantastic speaker. I look forward to hearing your speeches, and I'm going to turn things over to one of our workshop organizers now, Tharika.
Thank you, Ms. Bella. Our second speaker is Vanil Pala. Mr. Vanil has been volunteering with Chetana Foundation for the last 3 years. He handles the media and communication for various Chetana's activities. Mr. Vanil is a software engineer by profession and currently lives in Portland, Oregon. He has been part of the Lake Oswego Toastmasters Club for the last 5 years and held multiple leadership roles. Today, he's going to be sharing with us how to write attention-grabbing speech introductions.
Thank you, Tarika. It's better to see something once than to hear about it 1,000 times. Seeing something is experiencing it. I hope from Bella's session, you experience certain things right now. It is not only about this. It can be about anything. You go to a place, you go for a vacation, you gain some experience. How many of you like going for a vacation? That's your hands. Almost everyone, right? Who doesn't like vacation? Even Expedia, one of the largest travel sites, latest survey confirms that 81% of plan to take a vacation in the next 6 months. Imagine for the upcoming spring break, you're on a vacation with your family and traveling to a new city. It is late in the night. You're very hungry and your mom or dad is driving around looking for a restaurant. You see 2 restaurants, one with amazing lighting. There are plants on both sides of the walkway, and the walkway is maintained neat and clean. You see another restaurant with a flickering light that hasn't been repaired for a while. The name board is not very visible. The walkway of the restaurant is covered with dry leaves, used paper cups, and trash. You haven't dined in both the restaurants. Which one will you choose? The first one or the second one? Obviously, based on your first impressions, you choose the first restaurant. That is the power of speech introductions too. Will you listen to a speaker with the dull and boring introduction, or the one who starts with full of enthusiasm, tries to grab audience attention? Hello all, I'm super excited to have you all here. There are no slides. This is not a test, and this is not a lecture. This is me, Vanil Pala, coming here to speak to your hearts. Here is what I know about you. You want to make an impact. I say that because you could have been home sleeping, playing, writing some assignments, or doing anything else, but you choose to be here in this moment deserves to be acknowledged. I'm so proud of you because you are supporting a great cause here by joining this workshop. If preparing a speech is difficult, coming up with an effective speech introduction is even more difficult. Best speech introductions are the ones that help you to grab the attention of the audience quickly. Today, I want to focus how to give some attention-grabbing speech introductions. As you've just witnessed from Bella's speech opening should grab attention, introduce the topic to the audience, and build rapport between the speaker and the audience. Here, I would like to start with the power of 3. My fellow Toastmasters, Bella and Omar, are very well aware of this rule of 3. Whatever you do, anything, break it into 3 things. Even this speech is not exceptional. There are 3 parts: the body, the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. If you see from the last 3 years, it is not so usual, right? You have witnessed 2020, 2021, 2022. Because of this pandemic, we are all experiencing different things. Irrespective whether you give a speech to a camera or a virtual room like this, Zoom conference, or a live audience, the format doesn't change. First things, what are the not so best ways to start your speech? Avoid starting speech with something like this. My name is Vinil. I'm a software engineer by profession, and today I'm going to talk about attention-grabbing speech introductions. Try avoiding this. Something like this. The light is okay. The mic is working. How much time do I have? Try avoiding this as well. Something like good morning, good evening, starting with an apology, thanks for being here. Try avoiding all such things. Make sure your opening is a bang. You opening with a statement. The first word or sentence you utter from your mouth is super important. Now we'll see what are the best ways to start your speech. Ask a rhetorical question. Questions are always good way to pick interest. And is this the best way? I would say asking a question is the top three, the third position. When someone asks a question, we are automatically wired to respond to a question, as you have just seen from Bella's session or my initial statement, because either the audience wants to respond too quickly or they are eager to know the answer for that question. Either way, it keeps the audience active and listening for what's coming next. This is a great way to establish that reliability. Instead of beginning with your speech like, I'm going to tell about how to become fit, you could begin with your lines with, how many of you want to stay fit but do not have a regular exercise routine? How many of you here take New Year resolutions but do not follow them? Instead of this, at times you might not expect the answer, but it will keep the audience engaging. The second thing is start with shocking facts or statistics. Statistics or facts adds credibility and sense of realness to your speech. Some people shy away for using statistics in their speeches. They believe it is boring and will take the audience off the speech. For example, did you know that about 90% of Americans eat more sodium than it is recommended for a healthy diet? Or did you know that approximately 80 million people aged 6 and older are physically inactive? Can help create interest. And especially when you use shocking facts or statistics, make sure that you use the right source. Assume when you talk about something related to COVID vaccines, as per Johns Hopkins University, the latest data shows that 65% of Americans are fully vaccinated. You please make sure to quote the reference from where you got the numbers. The third and the best thing which I would follow is tell a story. Everybody loves a good story. I'm sure many of you might watch movies or cartoons, whatnot. If you play something and if the initial 1 minute is not so interesting, you will move on. The same thing applies to speech as well. All good speeches take up the form of a story. It does not have to take up something like once upon a time format. You can pick a personal story to relate to your topic. Once you begin with a story, you will automatically get your audience curious about the next turn of events. These are not the best three. And these are the one of the best three which best suited for me. And there are other openings which other speakers might have followed. The other things like using humor. Our 5 senses are incomplete with the 6th one, a sense of humor. Humor is always an excellent icebreaker. It breaks the tension, makes the audience feel more at ease. You need to really know your audience to apply this well. So be cautious when you use humor. There is no one joke fits all in the scenario. The next thing is begin with a quotation. Quotations help you to get the attention of the audience quickly. Instead of beginning your speech with an introduction like, hello all, leadership is an important skill that we need to learn. Leadership will make you successful. Instead, start your speech with, real leaders are ordinary people with extraordinary determination. These are words by John Seaman Gans, or something like this. The youth of today are the leaders of tomorrow. Famous words by Nelson Mandela. Make sure you double check the source of the quote, as you don't want to misquote from either. Similarly, don't just quote someone for the sake of quoting. Make sure it matches the theme of your speech. And the third thing, props. Chances are you're giving a speech among a line of speakers. As such, every speaker comes to a stage with a question, an example, or a statistic. An interesting prop can thus act like a breath of fresh air for the audience. It can be a surprise prop. You can take something from your pocket, somehow try to surprise the audience. The next thing is give examples, give analogy. Your job as a speaker is to make easy as possible for the audience to grasp the message. Adding examples is a great way to explore varying languages. Remember that people will be more inclined to listen to things that they can relate to. And also make sure whatever topic you choose, state the importance. Any topic you pick for your speech is likely important to you and familiar. But however, for a listener, it is still a brand new subject. So make sure you introduce the topic and get into audience mind. And there is one bonus, effective transition. You might need to spend 15 to 20% of your time for the introduction, and immediately you need to move on to the body portion. As we discussed, an introduction has many roles to fulfill. One of them is to signal the audience that the body of the speech has begun. To do so, you will need to incorporate an effective transition. Once you learn how to properly utilize this, your speech should flow smoothly from opening to body and then to conclusion. On average, an audience member has but one question at the beginning of every speech. Why should I care? It is your responsibility as a speaker to answer this question and win over their attention. Remember, there is no shortcut to success. Only formula is to practice and identify your style, because good judgments comes from experience and experience comes from bad judgments. Make sure you don't cut any practice time. All the best. At this moment, I'll pass on to our next youth leader, Adrija.
Thank you, Mr. Pala. Next, I would like to introduce Mr. Rex Arul. Mr. Rex Arul was born and brought up in Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu, India. He is an energy engineer with an undergrad from India and a master's from University of Florida. Since his school days, Mr. Arul was deeply interested in drama, elocution, screenplay, and participating and producing programs for children in the All India Radio. He was also adjudged as the best orator in the state of Tamil Nadu in 1996. Mr. Arul joined Toastmasters in March of 2011 and has held numerous positions, taking him to be a President's Distinguished Club President, Area Governor, and Division Director 3 years in a row in his home District 44. Mr. Arul also worked as an officer of the Cobb Juvenile Court System in Georgia as a citizen panel member. He has been a GED instructor and ESL instructor, and he thoroughly enjoys working with children and juveniles. Today, Mr. Arul will be sharing his thoughts on Your Being Speaks.
Thank you for that graceful introduction, Adrija, and I really appreciate it. Just when Ms. Bella was speaking, you all shared what are those fears that you have. But do you all know what is the leading fear factor for a majority of Americans? Anyone? Okay, I'll go with it. Public speaking. public speaking is the #1 morbid fear for a majority of Americans. So here's the proof of what Toastmaster Vinyl said. Start an opening with a shocking question. Got it? #1. And here is the another display. Let me ask you all, how many of you, just raise your hands, know if I say the word Gettysburg Address? Okay, good. And how many of you know who delivered that address? Just show your hands. Okay, so that was by President Abraham Lincoln. But what if I ask you who spoke before President Abraham Lincoln? Any show of hands? See? Nobody knows it. And here is a tidbit fact for you. President Lincoln spoke only for 2 minutes, but this speaker spoke for 2 hours prior to President Lincoln. And still the whole world doesn't recall that gentleman. That gentleman's name was Edward Everett. He was a great orator of his day, and he spoke for 2 hours, and the world doesn't know him. And President Lincoln only spoke for 2 minutes, for 272 words. And even in 2022, you all remember who President Lincoln was and what Gettysburg Address is all about. So much so that Edward Everett said to President Lincoln, "I wish I could flatter myself that I had come as near to the central idea of the occasion in 2 hours as you did in 2 minutes." Children, welcome. My name is Rex Arul, and my focus to inculcate in you today is to only remember one thing when you're preparing for public speeches. And that is, your being speaks. You might be puzzled. What does your being speaks mean? You all know your lips speak, sure. Your mouth speak, sure. What is this being? What is this being speaks? Again, by a show of your hands, yeah. How many of you understand the word character and personality? Personality. That's the most widely used words these days, right? All right. You know what actually the word personality means? It just means this. You all know what I'm wearing right now. What is this? A mask. In fact, the Greek word for mask is persona, okay? From persona comes personality, meaning we all wear the masks. If this speech was not going to be given, would I be dressed like this? No. So there goes my persona, a mask that I'm wearing for this presentation, okay? So right there, again, an example of how we bring our personality and also a character to the speech. The character is just who I am, not when I'm wearing my mask. So when I speak, the audience knows whether I am speaking with preparation or I am speaking from my gut. The what is called as gravitas. Okay, so that is the first thing I want you to understand when I say your being speaks. Bring your persona, bring your personality, bring your character. Look at that guy, Madhav, with his swag spectacles right there. That is what we are talking about, okay? That is the kind of thing we are talking about. Bring it all in, okay? Some of you can be humorous. Some of you can be serious. Some of you can be philosophical. Bring it on. Your being speaks. So that is number one. Again, not just the lips, not just the mouth, not just the tone. Bring your personality and your character to your speech. Okay, number one. The second, you might recall what Miss Bella said. Your body speaks. You see, I come from India. And in those days, speaking in India means Mere bhaiyo aur behano, anbarnda sagodarargale, sagodarirgale, my dear gentlemen and ladies. And it is like as though I am a statue. No, you can put people to sleep that way. Definitely you cannot encourage them by giving a speech, right? So you see, speeches are like this. You unravel yourself, you unleash your energies, okay? You make your body move. And then you look, when I move, my voice also changes. You see, if I were to speak to you, my dear friends, today I'm very excited to talk to you. I am very, very excited. Ooh, is that excitement? No, you cannot say, I am excited like this, or I am excited, ladies and gentlemen. No, you are lying. You see? So when you unleash your body, your voice also goes with it. For example, the next time you talk to your friends, you see how you are going to talk to them. Are you going to talk to them? Hey, my dear friend, I'm very nice to meet you. I'm very thrilled to meet you, you know. That's not how you talk. So if that is not how you talk to your friends, why would you talk to a big crowd of people in a stodgy way as though you are a statue, right? Do not. Rather, let your body move. Let your body move with the tone of your speech, up and down. Okay? So that is what the second point, that is your body, your eyes, your voice. For example, President JFK, during his inaugural session, he asked, ask not what the country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. After this session, please go back to YouTube and watch that speech. He would have paused almost similarly as I paused. You see, in the Greek school of rhetoric, it is called as caesura. For example, even in music, anyone who learns Carnatic music or Western classical, they might be very clear with this concept. Yes. You see, the music director stops, gives that stop. They're like little measured pauses. That is what makes it an extraordinary, exactly. One, Akshaya, thanks Akshaya. Caesura is in poetry as well. And caesura is in public speaking as well. You see? You see? In other words, again, the first point I made was not just the lips and mouth, but bring your whole being, meaning your character, your persona, okay, your mask or your dressing, everything, okay? The second, let your body be unraveled, unleash your energies, okay? Let your body, your eyes, your voice and hands move. That is the second point. The third one are the intangibles, the pauses, which I demonstrated, I'm sure. Eye contact, you see, I'm not just seeing myself, even though it's a virtual setting and it's very difficult. It's not a real room that I'm in, but still I have the kaleidoscope of all of you so that to me, it gives as though I'm talking to an audience, which I am. So then I'm looking at your eye contact with me. And I am looking at you as well. And I'm working through the energies. Okay, so in other words, the speech is not a monologue. You can put people to sleep with monologue. It is a dialogue, meaning between you and your audience. So how can you do that? Several ways. If an audience nods their head in agreement, acknowledge that. If an audience says, oh, caesura is also in poetry, that is engagement, acknowledge that. When somebody smiles or puts that swag glass, bravo to that gentleman right there. Okay, Madhav, I guess. So, you know, kudos to that. Okay, and that is what we are talking about. That is engaging with the audience in real time. See, Madhav is again wearing his swag glasses. Kudo, bro. Wonderful. Okay, you see, this is how you enact a real connection between your audience and to the speaker. And so you can always draw on the energies of the audience. Don't just do peroration. The word is called peroration. If some of you are preparing for your SATs or for your wordsmith or your spelling bees, that's the word for you, peroration. Peroration is literally the art of giving speeches to put people to sleep out of boredom. We are not going to do that, okay? For us, public speaking, what are we going to do? Your being speaks. And what are all we are going to do? Before even you utter the first word, bring your character and your personality into that space. Number one, not just the lips and mouth. Number two, your body moves, your eye moves, your voice intones, your hands move, hand gestures. Number three, the intangibles. Allow for pauses, rhetorical questions, shocking facts, work through the room, and all these intangibles. When you do all these things, your message hits very hard, because I'm very sure sometime down the line, you will remember this very speech that you heard when you were small, because I remember the very first speech I heard in the year 1994, when a similar speaker motivated me into public speaking. And so, welcome children, enjoy public speaking. That's the only way you can carry your message to this world, because we are living in a knowledge economy. Never forget that. And kudos to you. Wear your swag glasses and bring your personality and unleash your energies. And I'm turning back over to Ms. Aparna Chandrasekhar. Thank you for giving me the chance.
Thank you so much, Rex Uncle. That was a brilliant speech. And man, the amount of energy that gave me, that was equivalent to like 5 shots of caffeine right there. So thank you so much for being a part of this workshop today. We're very humbled to have had you speak for us. And before we move on to our next activity, I would like to take a group photo with all of our participants and all of our speakers here today. So if everyone could please turn their videos on, I would really appreciate that. All right, no problem, Akshaya. So we'll wait 1 minute. All right, is everyone ready? 3, 2, 1, cheese. I will be taking 2 more. 3, 2, 1. And 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right. Thank you, everyone. So now we will be moving on to our next activity, which is the speech evaluation demo activity. So myself, Adrija, and Tarika will each be giving a speech on a topic of our choice. And our Toastmasters, Mr. Omar Sheikh, Mr. Vinil Pala, and Mr. Rex Arul will be giving us feedback on our speeches. For our first speaker, one Toastmaster alone will give an evaluation. And for our second and third speakers, before the Toastmaster gives their evaluations, we would love to have 2 to 3 of you guys raise your hands and give feedback of your own will, right? So anything that you've noticed that was incorrect or anything that you think was a strength of our speech, based on the tips and tricks that Mr. Vinil, Miss Bella, and Mr. Rex have given us today. Sound good with everyone? Awesome. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Omar Sheikh. Let me go ahead and spotlight him for everyone. All right, so Mr. Omar Sheikh is originally from Portland, Oregon, but he now resides in Columbus, Ohio for his PhD program in molecular biology. He's been a part of Lake Oswego Toastmasters for the past 6 years and was even club president at one point. Just like the other speakers, Mr. Omar aims to compassionately help each speaker grow, regardless of skill level. Today, Mr. Omar will give an evaluation to show how speakers can grow through receiving feedback. I will now pass on the mantle to Tarika, who will be providing our first speech of the day.
Thank you, Aparna. As the world population steadily increases yearly and people are dependent on fuel-based transportation, fossil fuels are rapidly depleting. The need for an alternative fuel source has never been more urgent. According to an article from Editorial, America alone consumes 9 million tons of gasoline per day. The heavy burning of fossil fuels releases an immense amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, traps heat in the atmosphere, so heavy quantities of greenhouse gases contribute immensely to global warming. Gasoline is vital to the transportation that drives humans' productivity forward, so a solution is essential. Biofuel is a fairly new solution that scientists are still perfecting. There are 3 generations of biofuels. The first generation was biofuel from food crops. The second generation was biofuel from non-food crops, and the third generation is biofuel from algae or other microbes. The first generation used corn and other plants to use the ethanol or vegetable oil that came from it. However, there are many shortcomings with this plan. Like, for example, people were concerned about a food shortage. If crop space was used for growing corn for ethanol fuel, then what about the corn for food usage? This food versus fuel conflict is a main reason why ethanol didn't make it widely. Did you know that only 1% of gas stations in America hold ethanol? Also, E10, fuel with 10% ethanol, didn't do much about the greenhouse gas problem. The energy put into make E10 was more energy than it produces, making it ineffective. Eventually, scientists discovered that they can use other non-food crops to make biofuel. Plants like switchgrass or elephant grass or even wood allowed scientists to extract the parts they needed to make biofuel. However, the process used to extract the sugars in the second generation was much different from the first. The first generation used chemical methods, using enzymes to isolate the sugars from the plants. However, in the second generation, thermal methods were used, which separate the molecules into hydrogen and carbon monoxide. These gases were then burned like natural gases or used to make biofuels. These processes used significantly more energy, so it was inefficient to solve the fossil fuel problem. Now, scientists have come up with a method of using algae and other microbes to make biofuel. This is a third generation of biofuels. Algae uses oil to store energy. So by growing large quantities of algae, scientists can extract the energy from algae oil and produce biofuel. Unlike the first generation, algae is not a food crop, so no conflicts will arise regarding using agriculture space to grow crops used for fuel in place of crops used for food. Additionally, algae is much easier to grow, and it opens a market for other products. Known for its hydrating properties, algae can be put in skincare products to maximize the use of this crop. However, like the other generations, this one also has its shortcomings. A major controversy in the biotech field is patenting. On one hand, patents put up a barrier between people who are willing to use the technology to create a solution for the fossil fuel problem. On the other hand, patents give researchers money for the resources they need to continue their research. Additionally, growing the amount of algae needed to mass-produce biofuel will take years. And during those years, the plant might mutate, so that affects its energy storing process. Research is always a risk. What if it doesn't work? What if all the money goes to waste? What if they fail? But what if they succeed? By investing into production of biofuels, there comes a lot of uncertainty. But there's also knowledge gained. Biofuels still have a long way to go, but one thing's for sure, biofuel is what will drive people forward. Thank you.
That was a great speech.
Thank you.
All right, now we will pass it on to Mr. Omar for some feedback.
Thank you so much for a wonderful speech, Tariq. You picked a really important topic that pulls all of us in because we all live in this world together. So thank you so much for picking a wonderful topic. I'm going to split my evaluation to 2 parts. I'm going to talk about your content, things I liked, and things that can be worked on. And then I'll do the same for your body language and showing us how your being speaks, like Uncle Rex showed us. I really liked how you demonstrated that fossil fuels are depleting, and that creates a really important need for us to look for other solutions. I really like the fact that you told us there's 9 million tons of gas being used per day, which really puts in our head the importance of this issue. Another thing that I enjoyed is that you started with a first generation, second generation, third generation. That helped us follow along with the development of biofuels over time. That was a very effective strategy when you told us about the shortcomings of each strategy. As a result, you sounded credible because you did not seem against any one particular method. So thank you very much for that. I definitely learned a lot from your content. I think to make your content even sharper, I would consider how to incorporate suggestions like from Vanille, Rex, and Bella today. For example, you could have started with one of the statistics you mentioned, and you could have really gotten us to think about, this is why we need biofuels. They're so important for us because of that, which already get us hooked in and help us think about how we can take this knowledge moving forward. On that note, I really enjoyed how you made a comment about drive us home, because that's often what gasoline is used for. So I appreciate you bringing it full circle with that suggestion. I'm now going to talk about your use of body language. One thing I noticed is that you tended to be sitting, you tended to be moving around. I think that's one thing to be mindful of. At the same time, I felt that you used very clear focals. We could understand what you're saying throughout your speech. I would, however, think about how to slow down a little bit at key moments. For example, when you said drive us home, you said it rather fast. So you might want to pause and say, and that's how biofuels can drive us home. And make sure we really get that message at the very end. I would also suggest that you consider simplifying your speech. And for example, not necessarily talk about patents and give us a basic overview. So keep moving us forward. Keep moving us forward with your understanding of biofuels. Overall, it's a really fun speech to listen to, and I'd love to hear from you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Omar. That was very valuable feedback.
Thank you so much, Mr. Omar. Now we will move on to Adrija's speech. For Adrija's speech, we will be having the kids alone give feedback. And please make sure to model your feedback somewhat like how Mr. Omar did for Tarika's speech. All right, I will pass it on to Adrija.
I want to start off by asking, how many of you have watched the Disney movie Frozen, 1 or 2? Just raise your hand. Okay. When I was in 3rd grade, as some of you might be now, the Disney movie Frozen came out, complete with lovable characters, heartwarming plot, and acclaimed soundtrack. It was a touching movie with a sweet message. And so, of course, many of the so-called popular boys of 3rd grade all turned up their noses at it. They scorned the movie for being too saccharine, too dramatic, and ultimately, Frozen was branded with the worst possible insult in all of 3rd grade history. Too girly. Just like all other things girly, that is to say, dresses, dolls, and even, of course, the color pink. I immediately hopped on the hate train. I'm sure every girl has or will go through that particular phase. The my favorite color is blue, not pink phase. The I wear shorts, not dresses phase. The I play with Legos, not dolls phase. Ever wonder why? Why do we perpetuate a rejection of femininity? Why is liking pink and princesses and the ponies from My Little Pony all dismissed as a sign of immaturity? Why is it that if a girl were to pursue a male-dominated profession, like, say, computer science, and she showed up with a rose-colored computer, much like my own, she would instantly be scorned? Years of patriarchal oppression and conservative beliefs reveal the answer. For a long time, famed classical scholars and philosophers, including Aristotle himself, believed that women were biologically inferior to men. As the scientific revolution rolled around, the idea that women had less of an ability to develop neural connections, or they just had a smaller brain, was disproven. And yet, when suffragettes in the 19th century began fighting for higher education and voting rights, many opponents were quick to argue that women simply weren't capable. They said that their thoughts were too shallow and silly, their emotions too capricious and dramatic. In an 18th century proto-feminist work, author Mary Wollstonecraft remarked, "I wish to persuade women to endeavor to acquire strength, both of body and mind, and to convince them that the soft phrases, delicacy of sentiment, and refinement of taste are almost synonymous with epithets of weakness. The only way to be given the acceptance and validation of men then was to act like them. And in doing so, we lost ourselves. We made beauty and intellect, strength and emotion, femininity and power mutually exclusive. We taught and still teach our girls that they can do anything that boys can. We encourage our girls to play with Legos, but we never teach our boys to play with dolls. A century ago, we celebrated women in pants, and yet we still haven't normalized boys in dresses." Growing up isn't learning to hate Frozen and Pink. It's realizing that they were never the enemy. To all you girls and all you guys, it's perfectly okay to look up to princesses. It's perfectly okay to love Pink. It's perfectly okay to be girly, because no matter what, it's amazing being a girl. So color me proud, or shall I say, color me pink.
Awesome job. Thank you so much, Adrija. I would like for a few of our participants to please raise their hand via the Zoom chat feature. And who would like to give feedback for Adrija first? Yeah, Eva, go ahead and unmute.
I really liked your speech. That was pretty good. I like the question that you did at the beginning. It caught everybody's attention, and the introduction was quite fun too. I like the conclusion too. It was a nice way to wrap everything up. I think your expression was kind of bland. That you might want to build up on that a little bit more on your speech, and your hand movement and your like excitement on your speech itself. That could be a bit more better. And the weight and the pauses, you could try to weigh your speech more and like pause more and like let your audience soak in what you're saying, so they process it, and it'll enhance your speech more. But overall, pretty good speech.
Thank you. I love the feedback. It was really detailed.
Thank you, Eva. Vimoshini, what would you like to say?
I like your introduction, how you started with the question, and I like how you jumped straight to the information, and the conclusion was nice, flowing. The whole speech was like flowing, but you didn't show much expression and movement, which did not cause you to like your voice.
Okay. Thank you, Vimoshini. Let's have one more person. Atharva, why don't you speak for us?
I really love your speech. It was very, very good. So the first thing I want to talk about is the topic. Not many people talk about it, and it is pretty important to bring it up. And also, I like how you put the question at first, and also the conclusion. The conclusion actually put the energy into them and told them that what you are saying is pretty important. And it was a very good speech.
Thank you. And I love your glasses too.
Yes, thank you, Atharva, and I love the swag glasses. They look great on you. All right, thank you so much, Adrija. I hope you guys are all learning a lot from the feedback we're getting, both strengths and weaknesses that we want to make sure to note when we are giving our own public speeches. So now it's time for the last speech, which will be yours truly, me. So without further ado, I will go ahead and get started for you guys. In a rural village in Tamil Nadu, India, there was a father, a mother, a daughter, and a son. This family worked as hard as they could to make ends meet, but still could barely afford 2 meals a day. And all of a sudden, the mother of the family was diagnosed with a brain tumor. This proved to be a major problem, however, as this family had no way of paying for her hospital bills. And so they turned to Facebook. One of their friends launched a single GoFundMe campaign on Facebook asking for donations. And within the span of 2 weeks, the link was circulated so often that over $100,000 were raised. That mother was able to fully pay for her bills and is now in prime health. In this event, there is one factor that changed its course: social media. Through its ability to connect individuals and market ideas, social media has drastically changed both the personal and political scope of today's world. Social sites like Instagram make it easier for friendships to blossom. All over the world, video chats allow individuals to talk with others for unlimited hours at any time of day. And social media has also allowed for contact with long-lost friends in an instant. Many adults are now able to reach out to old school friends from college and high school, and thus strengthen previously forgotten friendships. Even my own mother, who previously did not reach out to her old friends, is now in 3 to 4 WhatsApp group chats with her old school and college buddies. I would know. She's always texting them instead of talking to me, and it makes me very sad. But either way, social media has been a blessing for both extroverts who seek to know more people and introverts who are more comfortable typing rather than speaking out loud, with social media's broad reach to students, pen pals, and all social adolescents alike. Social media also plays a valuable part in stimulating education. With articles popping up all over social media websites, awareness regarding social media and social movements have skyrocketed. For example, the well-known Black Lives Matter movement, a movement that works to combat both anti-Black racism and police violence, has been primarily promoted through the use of social media via hashtags during national events and protests. According to the Pew Research Center, the hashtag Black Lives Matter was used nearly 30 million times on Twitter, with an average of 17,002 times just in a single day. With social media's ability to spread messages to all corners of the globe, it has become the driving factor for a number of reform movements in today's world, and it sets the stage for future positive changes to come. My dear friends, as you can see, social media has the power to reach all sections of the earth in an instant way and make the impossible possible. Though social media has its addicting capabilities, it is up to us to find its positives. Even through today's workshop, which you all heard about through digital marketing. We have gathered 60 registrations here today to help donate to the cause of purchasing prosthetic limbs for individuals in India. Social media is changing my life, your life, and the world's lives, only for the better. Thank you. Now, I would like to pass it on to Mr. Rex Uncle to give us some feedback.
Thank you, Aparna. That was a splendiferous, fantabulous speech, all for various reasons. Let me line them up one by one. Number one, anytime, as I said in my own speech, a speech is a dialogue. First and foremost, it's a dialogue. It's not a monologue. So you not only brought a topic that is passionate to you, but you tied that speech to each one of the audience towards the end. Bravo, because that's exactly what everyone needs to do. Because when I came listening to your speech, I did not have any positive or negative notions of social media. You went on a circle. You started on a point, you went through the circumference and came down to a point. How? You started with the emotional story. In a rural family in Tamil Nadu, right there, you are making the audience travel in space and time to Tamil Nadu or something similar in India that they are familiar with. Very important point for a public speaker. Things about space, smell, food, delicacies. Research, neuroscience shows that anytime you touch those buttons, it reaches the audience very strongly, very emotionally. And then you immediately went into the pathos. Any speech has the logos, pathos, right? And ethos. And you use the right words. You said brain tumor. There, the ethos went along. Your body language went with the subject matter. You mellowed, you kind of calmed down. You gave a serious look. And then you said, within 2 weeks, $100,000. You see, even the statistics is in my mind because of those caesuras and pauses that you used. And at one point you said one factor. Again, you see, your body speaks. And then you said it changed course for the better. And then you paused there and you said social media. And then what I saw was not only your eyes spoke, your eyebrows spoke as well. You rolled your eyes on those points where at one point you said in an instant like that, you just snap like that, okay, just to kind of articulate. And at one point when you said, it made me sad, you did your lips. Again, it shows the control you have with the subject matter you are speaking, as well as the articulation of your senses. Once again, goes with your being speaks. And then, most importantly, coming back to the logos of the word, you used a very sensitive topic of extroverts and introverts. How introverts can also feel belonged in this particular initiative about using social media and all of that. So, extraordinarily well delivered speech. How can we make this better? I just have a couple of suggestions. Number one, you can slow down even a little bit. A little bit slowness could help the barrage of statistics that you are lobbing at your audience. So that's number one. And number two, towards the end, where you said you raise your finger in an instant way or something like that, like this. It's typically suggested in a platform setting that wherever you need to do this, we don't want to be seen as finger pointing. So wherever there is a need to do this, you can do this, like fold your thumb like this and say like this in an instant. Or you can say in an instant, just the first time you did, like up, not towards the audience. So these are just simple techniques where you could do so that you can make your speech better. But ultimately, taking the concept of social media and relating to the fundraising you are doing today, bravo. That is fantastic demonstrative power of not only social media, but public speaking, and how when you have the rubrics of public speaking under your pocket, you can go change the world. Just as you kids are doing right now, go change the world. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Rex Uncle. I really, really appreciate all of your positive feedback, and I will definitely take the suggestions you've given me to heart. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we are going to hold off on the student evaluations of myself because we are a little bit short on time. But if you would like to send some feedback to me, Adrija, or Tarika, please feel free to private message them to us in the Zoom chat. And for the Zoom spammers, guys, please remember proper Zoom decorum. We need to behave, no spamming. But to everyone that sent all of us very positive feedback in the Zoom chat, thank you all. We really, really do appreciate it. I hope you guys all enjoyed the student evaluation demo activity. And with that, we will be moving on to our videos. So Adrija, whenever you are ready, please feel free to screen share them.
Aparna, just a quick question. Would you like all of them to be shown?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So this first video, Adrija, could you pause it for just a moment?
Yeah, pause.
So this first video will be a video displaying Chetana's activities in India, Chetana Foundation. Then we will play a video on Chetana Foundation's activities in America, what all they've done here in order to help our community. And finally, we will be playing a video about prosthetic limbs. All right, go ahead, Adrija.
Rotary Artificial Limb Center, started in 1990 by the Rotary Club of Khammam, now called by the local people as Center for Legs, has been conducting programs for the welfare of the needy under the aegis of many noble and generous members of Rotary Club. The limb donation program of Rotary Club of Khammam is the core of its activities. It has brought light in the lives of many who had no idea where their life is going after they lost one of their precious organs. This person who lost his leg in a fatal accident was shattered with the incident. Not knowing how to look for a future, on the advice of his relatives, he visited Rotary Club of Khammam. The experts here have assessed his condition and in a very quick time fixed a movable leg. Now he thanks Rotary in many ways. There are many life benefited and leading a confident, happy life with the support of Rotary Club.
ఈ జీవితంలో మర్చిపోలేనంత సౌకర్యం చేశారు రోటరీ క్లబ్ వారు ఈ ఖమ్మంలో. ఈ 2 గేదెలు ఉంటే వాటిని కాసుకుంటా 2 లీటర్ పాలు అయితే ఊళ్ళో పోసుకొని ఇట్నే మా ఆడవాళ్ళు ఏమో పనికి పోతారు, నేనేమో నా జీవితం నేను గడుపుకుంటున్నా. రోటరీ క్లబ్ వారికి మాకు ధన్యవాదాలు, చాలా సాయం చేశారు మాకు.
The technology that's being used for artificial limbs, renowned locally as Jaipur leg, costs about $180, making it a distant dream for many underprivileged. But Rotary Club of Khammam offers the same leg free of cost, making the dream a reality. But the need of the hour is more than a limb a day, as many in the region who lost their limbs looking for help and thronging the portals of Rotary Club, the need to serve has increased. It takes about $40 a limb for Rotary, comparatively very low than existing market price. The short of funds has become a biggest obstacle to serve the growing need. With efficient and service-oriented people at the administration, and with an attitude of always ready to lend a hand, the only impediment in serving more is lack of funds. We expect all our fellow Rotarians in all parts of the world and generous individuals to contribute in this noble cause, and let there be smiles on everyone's face.
All right, thank you, Adrija. So I hope you guys enjoyed those 3 videos and learned a bit more about Chetana. And the Rotary Club of Khammam is an organization that Chetana is partnering for in order to purchase these prosthetic limbs and to distribute them out to people in need in India. So as you can see, they have an extremely noble cause. And if you guys would like to make further donations to us in order to help purchase more of these limbs, we would certainly appreciate it. So without further ado, we will be moving into the last part of our workshop. Right before we take on questions and answers, I will be quickly covering our competition. So as you all know, this workshop will be followed by a competition, which will be done via pre-recorded videos that need to be submitted by Saturday, March 12th. So here are the requirements for the competition. So if you would like to take a screenshot of this slide, please go ahead. We will also be sending this out in the WhatsApp group. But the competition topic for kids in grades 3 to 5 will be, if you could invent one thing, what would it be and why? So within your speech, you want to discuss the following things. There are countless amounts of technology being invented in today's world to help benefit it. But if you could invent anything to help our world, what would you make and why? And how do you plan on achieving this? The time limit for kids in grades 3 to 5 will be, you have to have a speech that is more than 3 minutes, but less than 4 minutes. Now, for grades 6 through 8, your topic will be, have medical advances advanced human progress for the better? So this topic goes along with our whole prosthetic limbs agenda in this event. So our description for the topic is, how has the use of medical technology impacted our world today, both positively and negatively? What do you think are the benefits of medical technology, and what do you think needs to be changed? So the time limit for kids in the category of grades 6 to 8, your speech must be greater than 5 minutes, but less than 6 minutes. So within that range. So please go ahead and take a snapshot of the competition topics if you need to. We will take questions at the end, by the way.
I just want to ask, how do you take a screenshot though?
If you can't take a screenshot, don't worry about it. We'll be sending this out in the WhatsApp group regardless. And it's different from device to device, so I can't really say I know. All right.
Thank you.
On MacBook, it's Command-Shift-3, and on Windows, it's Windows-Shift-S.
There you go. All right. So the other thing we want to cover is our competition judging criteria. So how we will be judging your guys' speeches when you submit them in the videos is 40 points will be given based on how smoothly your speech flows when you are talking and your credibility when you're talking, how well your speech is written. And then another 30 points will be given for content. So the speech content itself and the way you've organized your speech, right? Does this sentence make sense in your first paragraph? Should it go to your second paragraph? Items like that will be the next 30 points of the competition judging criteria. And the last 30 points will be based on delivery. So overall, what we'll be judging on within the delivery category is your posture, your presentation, and your vocal variety, referring to your intonation, using your use of filler words, etc. So totally, the competition judging criteria will be out of 100 points. And just some additional rules, the video should be taken in one shot. You cannot make edits or like record small portions and then just stitch them together to make a full file. We want to see you guys say your speech fully. Keep the file as a plain video. Please don't include any fancy edits in your speech, music, animation. That will result in you being disqualified. And then finally, any prompting assistance will render you guys disqualified. So if your parent is there coaching you in the background, that will result in disqualification. Finally, the judges' decisions are final, so please note this. All right. And just some important points for you guys to note while recording a video. So this is fairly self-explanatory. So if you'd like to just take a photo of this, go ahead. These will also be sent in the WhatsApp chat, so don't worry too much, but these just make sure to have a proper camera angle and that your face is fully seen. All right, now it is time for our question and answer section. So anyone that has questions, please feel free to raise your hands and we will do our best to cover them. So let's start off with Vihan.
Are we allowed to look off of a script?
No, you guys do have a month to prepare. So memorization is definitely preferred. You won't be disqualified if you read off a script, but the points will definitely not go in your favor.
So it'd be preferred if we like have a script and we just memorize it instead of just reading straight off of it?
Exactly.
Okay.
Eva.
I have a few questions. So my first question is, I think I just forgot. Oh yeah, will this be like a series of classes or is it just like one class and then the competition?
So today's workshop is the workshop. There's not going to be any more after this. So using the tips and tricks that you've learned from today's workshop, you can apply those when you are writing your speech for the competition. And then those videos will be due on March 12th. That will be it.
All right, okay. And my second question is, we're not allowed to use a teleprompter, right?
No. Like obviously you can have a script, but those points won't go in your favor if you're not memorized.
Aparna, can I add my thought to those two questions that came from Tejasvi and the prior gentleman?
Yes.
See, using a script or like what is called as a cheat sheet can actually deter your speech. Like, for example, as I said, if you were to talk to your friends or anyone else, you don't really go with a script, right? I mean, and that's how speeches should be. In other words, they should be conversational in nature. For example, if you enjoyed my speech today, you want to see what I had written, this is all I had written. There's nothing more I wrote. In other words, it can always come. It can always come as a deterrent, is what I'm saying. This is all my speech was. You see, So what all I spoke has nothing to do with what I had written or even prepared. This is all I had with me, nothing more. That's it. So in other words, that is when you can bring your being into the speech. Otherwise, if you write, you constantly will have a tendency to be like, okay, am I reading it correct? Or, you will forget like some of the things I gave as a feedback to Aparna's speech, where the right rolling of the eyes and showing the finger, like, showing the hands and all those, things that you can bring to your speech if you only focus on what you're speaking than what you're reading. So it'll come by practice. Trust me, don't worry. You will get it. And that's the thing. Don't try to learn with the crutch. Throw away the crutch. Practice before a big mirror, if you will. If you have a big bathroom mirror, just start speaking in front of it. You will get over that fear and you will see that speech comes very easily. Back to you.
Yes, I think Rex Uncle answered it perfectly. Does that answer your question, Eva?
Yes. Also, I have one last question.
Mm-hmm.
So, the speech, whatever our grade is, we have to speak on that topic that was given, right?
Yes. So I'll be sending those topics out in the WhatsApp group.
All right.
I have a question.
Yes, Arya?
So, what do you mean? If we can't stitch it together, right? But say we make a mistake in the middle of the video, can we retake it?
Yeah, that is fine.
Oh, okay.
All right. Aryan?
Can we send our video for review if we need to work on some stuff?
Review to the Toastmasters like that?
Yeah.
So these Toastmasters will most likely be judging. So that is why I'm going to say no to that.
Okay.
All right, Arjun?
Are we allowed to so how are you able to make the let's say if I come back to me, I want.
Okay. Advait?
Can we do it more than 5 minutes or 4?
No. So we'll give you guys a grace period up to 5 minutes. For kids in grades 3 to 5, your allotted time is between 3 to 4 minutes, right? We'll give you a grace period up till 5 minutes, but you will start to lose points when you're in that grace period. After that, you'll be disqualified. So don't go a minute over your time limit. But we'll send more clarifications about this, the time limit and all the rules in the WhatsApp group. All right.
Yeah.
Rohit? And please make sure to lower your hands once you are done asking your question.
What do we win?
What do we win? That is yet to be decided. We will send that out though.
Oh, okay.
All right. Tejasvi?
Can we leave if we don't have a question?
Yes, it is now 12:30 actually. So you guys are all free to leave if you have a question. All right. Krishita?
Sorry, Rohit already asked the question I was going to ask, what we were going to win.
All right. All right. Yes, Sarah?
So, is this a strict rules?
Yes, these are pretty strict rules. You do have to follow them. All right, Vidya?
So I have one question.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sarah.
So we have to take one shot.
Say it one more time, Sarah. I didn't catch that.
So we should just take one shot for this?
Yes. So don't stitch your videos together. You can if you mess up in the middle of your video, you can scrap that and then record the whole thing again. That is allowed. But then recording the introduction of your speech, then making a separate file for your first paragraph, and then using some video software to stitch those two videos together so it seems like one big file. That is not allowed. Does that clarify?
Can I add a point? Yeah, Aparna, can I add a point?
Go ahead.
So as Mr. Rex mentioned, right, you can practice, you write your speech, whatever you want to convey, right? You have a proper introduction, you have a proper body, you have a proper conclusion, Put all your thoughts in your mind, put it on a piece of paper, start practicing in front of a mirror. Once you're confident, ask your mom or dad to record your speech. You can take any number of recordings. It's only memory, right? You choose 5 to 10 recordings, and whatever you choose, the best one, you share that to the the forum. Okay, you got it? And you are
That's a
allowed,
wonderful point.
yeah, you are allowed to choose any number of recordings, right? You choose like which is the best one. Whatever you feel confident, you choose that, you send that to the community. Okay. Over to you, Aparna. Yeah, if you want to add, you can add something.
Like, so is a good plan, let's say, for a speech to have, like, let's say, first, maybe my plan was to have a question and thesis statement, and then a fact, and then a personal story, and then a body and a conclusion. Is that a good form?
Yeah, you're on the right track. You're on the right track, because each person will have his own style. Probably you might try multiple ways. And you choose the best one, what fits for you. Okay. There is no one, as I told you, right? Like there is no one joke or one solution which fits for everyone. Each one will have unique style. Probably you start watching a lot of videos. As many of our Toastmasters said, right? Whatever content you have, like you refer a lot of videos, you refer a lot of books. Choose the right content and start writing it down and prepare it in your mind and practice well. You can definitely do that. If you submit your video, that itself is a winning or losing. It is like only 1 or 2 win. But ultimately, if you submit a video, that itself is a win.
Okay. And then my other question is, what if the judge makes a mistake? Like, let's say if they let's say if they grade 1 point lesser or something, then how will and then they submit it. So then how will...
So our judging process will be very, very meticulous. So we'll make sure that there are no mistakes. But if that happens, we will rectify it as soon as possible. Okay, Arjun?
Okay, thank you.
All right. So our last question is going to be Vidyut and Venki. After that, we do have to wrap up the session as we are running a little bit over time. If you would like to leave, you are free to leave the session. But let's go on to Vidyut.
So can we have like notes to remind us of what we're gonna say?
Yeah, that's fine. But just remember that the more memorized you are, the better it works in your favor for points.
Okay.
Right. And Venki.
Great questions, though.
Yeah.
I forgot my question.
Oh man. All right. No worries. If it comes back to you, just send it to me on WhatsApp. If any of you guys have any more questions that haven't come to your mind right now, but they come up later, just send it to myself, Adrija, or Tarika in the WhatsApp chat. We are the admins in there, so you'll know how to find us. So I hope that clears it up. Thank you guys all for coming today. We really appreciate you guys being here. And I hope you all had a wonderful experience and learned a lot from this workshop.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Yes. One more thing, guys. In case you want to contact us, if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to smilesforallspeech@gmail.com. This is the email that we've been using to send your parents notifications. And if you would like to donate further to the cause of purchasing prosthetic limbs, please Zelle the money to 806-445-1402. That is the other admin in the group. That is my mom's number. So please make sure to Zelle the money there and not to the other 3 numbers that are admins in the WhatsApp chat.
Okay.
So that detail will also be sent in the WhatsApp group. I hope this answers any questions you may have. If you have any more, just feel free to send them to us. And thank you for coming today and have a lovely day.
Thank you, Ms. Aparna. Thank you, everybody else. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. I will see you all later.
You. If the Chetana team could stay behind just for a few minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day, David.
Aparna, if you want to stop the recording.
Yes, we are just waiting for one person. Yeah. All right. So yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna preface that I did mine with like hopefully being a little monotone, but I don't know if it like came across completely.
Yeah, just a note for the recording. So Tarika and Adrija were both doing an example of a blunder within a speech for delivery. Tarika was trying to rush her speech a little bit and not make proper eye contact. So to show that kind of mistake to the kids, Adrija was showing the vocal intonation mistakes. And then mine was an example of a proper delivery. So to show the kids variety. All right, go ahead.
Color means proud. Color means pink. I really connected with that quote, especially towards your closure, right? And even your introduction, you started with a question that is engaging, like to pull the audience attention. And your reference with when I was of your age, that is very good to get connected. But I slightly missed that because there are kids from grade 3 to grade 8, right? I believe you mentioned grade 3 at a later point, but when you mentioned when I was your age, probably you could have mentioned that grade 3 or grade 4 specifically, because that way people will get connected what exactly age. And the reference for Frozen and the details surrounding that Frozen, it was good. And slightly about the discrimination, what we see around us, right? Like about we never teach our boys about playing with the dolls. That was a very good example on how the society is. Overall, it was a great speech. And with respect to the areas of improvements regarding the eye contact and the hand gestures, I mean, most of the times you were in the lower part of the screen. Probably you could have talked with the camera, though you're referring notes, right? Often you could have seen the camera. That is one suggestion I have. And the pauses, when you move from one paragraph to another paragraph or one point to another point, make sure you have enough pauses so that the audience can digest and transition to the next point. And overall, it was a great speech. I mean, all three of you look like a professional speakers. It is not like as if you're giving your first speech, right? I literally felt that because each of you had some unique skill in your speech. And the same thing, I mean, just to add, even Omar and Rex has already added the comments for Tarika and Aparna. And especially, I just have 1 or 2 points for Tarika as well. I mean, your content was too good, and the same feedback applies to you as well. I mean, if you could have given some pauses, probably audience will have enough time to digest what exactly you're seeing. If there is no full stop or a comma, audience might get disconnected from what you're saying. And your language, your voice is clear, and especially when you're talking about two different things, your hand gestures clearly indicate, what exactly you're saying. When especially when you distinguish between two things, one on your left and one on your right. And Aparna, as Rex has already mentioned, you started with beautiful facial expressions by raising your eyebrows. That was very good, and your hand gestures was good. And when you started with a story, because that is on my top of my list. If you start a story, that's how like audience will get connected. And social media has that power. I mean, even you used a quote called social media has the power to make impossible to possible. That is pretty much connected to what we are seeing right now. And even in fact, you ended your speech with a proper quote. Social media is changing my life and your life as well. Overall, it was great speeches. All three of you choose 3 different topics. And I see that the rule of 3, Omar always acknowledged my rule of 3 when we had 3 workshop sessions, 3 speakers, and 3 sections as well, like workshop section, evaluation section, or the youth speech sections, and then the video section. Overall, a nice, great session from all 3 of you.
Thank you.
And again, just to add to what Vinil said, and again, Aparna being a big fan of the Greek school of rhetoric, the pathos, logos, ethos, right? I distinctly saw those 3 facets in 3 personalities right on the screen, you 3 girls. That pathos, was very adequately reflected by you, Aparna, okay? Okay, and Tarika, your strength is really on the logos. Meaning with your facts and your content and your more like just like engineers like us maybe with that analytical but Adrija, my God, the ethos, your serenity, man, you are like a bond, like a really like a managerial or like this high super stakes lawyer kind of like, or like a leader, you know, with that calm serenity that sometimes in the, like in Tamil we say, like meaning that the elephant comes back, but the tingling of the tintinnabulation of the bells comes first. You know, you have this powerful, arresting, like a riveting appearance when you just appear. So like meaning the ethos, you take that ethos, you know, just, you know, without a word being spoken. So, I mean, there are, like, my point being, like, just to what Aparna said, you all had this as a demonstrative speech, right? Like, okay, Tarika covering certain things, Adrija covering certain things, and then Aparna says, okay, this is how you do it without, you know, flaw. But what I'm saying is, take out this presentation aside, but you three girls have this troika or this trifecta of logos, pathos, ethos in three different facets of your personality. Meaning, Adrija's, you know, ethos can be borrowed a little bit by Aparna to aid in her pathos, and also the logos from Tarika for Aparna. Likewise, Adrija, you can borrow a certain of the pathos from Aparna and the logos from Tarika, and Tarika, you can take some of those ethos from Adrija and the pathos from Aparna. So you could see how you three are complementing and supplementing, just like, you know, how these tornadoes are formed, you know, they just build up on themselves. So fantastic. And that's what I you know, once you have the recording available, I want to kind of like go back and play for myself, because as I told you, I'm sure I spoke with you and your mom, Aparna, about how I learned from my own mentee, like Nitya, when I, you know, taught her about this, you know, public speaking that she did, and she won the Georgia State Awards. You know, how she spoke one of those speeches being, you know, a night with a Dracula, but she was talking about mosquito, remember? Yeah. So, you know, that's how I learned from these, you know, children whom I coach, because they are the best teachers, I'm telling you. And in fact, all of us are waiting for these speeches to come from these children, because they are going to wow us. You know, they are always going to, you saw that, like a tinge of that in the questions they asked. What if the judges make a mistake? That is the best question I loved. You know, that's what these children will always surprise us. And that's what it is. So, I mean, you three knocked it out. I mean, this was a flawless presentation. As Vinil said, we even, you know, when I was like in the very initial calls, I was like, oh my God, what these girls are going to do, you know, I mean, they're thinking about this, they don't have an agenda. Okay, so how can we help? And what are they going to do? I mean, that's where it started, right? But look at what a flawless organization. Kudos to you. This will speak volumes of your organizational capacities whenever you're going for college or whatever. You know, this is something you have behind your pocket. So well done, bravos, kudos.
Thank you.
Thank you.